Hello and welcome to the latest episode of my Knitting and Creative podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart and I'm coming to you from Birmingham in England. I feel like it's been a little while. Life has been kind of busy but also kind of not. It's been kind of strange. For those of you who have watched me before, about 10 months ago I had my first baby. We're going through a bit of a transition phase at the moment, which at moments I'm finding quite challenging, but mostly enjoying. And so I haven't been so busy on Instagram and YouTube and things like that, which I'm missing, but trying not to miss too much because I don't want to miss out on the other stuff, so the life stuff. But anyway, I have been doing a bit of making. I have really slowed down, to be honest. He isn't walking or crawling yet, but he is moving. He's awake a lot more. He is like a little bit more demanding for attention than he was. And I'm feeling quite depleted, to be honest. Without going into too many life things, I naively thought that once I started the weaning process and he was taking less directly from me, that I'd have more energy because I'd be creating less food for him. But I'm actually having the opposite kind of experience that actually is completely wiping me out. Even though he's sleeping better, I'm not, which is annoying. But I think it is a phase and I just have to weather the storm and hopefully I get a bit of respite before going back to work in a couple of months. Because it would be nice to try and recharge a bit before starting the nursery and work wave, which is exciting. I am excited for him to go to nursery. He's only going part-time because I'm only going to be working part-time. He loves children and he loves people, so I think he will really like it. It's just going to be an adjustment and it's a really nice place, so I am excited for him and I'm excited for me to be around adults more, but I'm sure it will cause more disruption. So anyway, there we go. So if I seem a bit sleepy, honestly I am. I feel like my brain just isn't screwed on at the moment. So I've been doing a few, in England when you're on maternity leave you can do something called kit days, which are keeping in touch days at work, where you can work part of a day, a whole day, whatever your employer wants or you want to do even, so that you don't feel so disconnected from your work, because we can be off for up to a year. Not all of it's paid. It kind of depends on your benefits. I'm quite lucky. I didn't get my full salary the whole time I'm off, probably only half of it, but I have been paid something the whole way through, which enabled me to do that. Is he waking up? No, don't think so. I better crack on. But yeah, so what have I been up to making wise? I have one finished object knitting wise, which I don't think you've seen before. I have quite a lovely work in progress. I have a very exciting finished sewing project, some small baby sewing projects, some sewing plans, and a small baby knit. So not a lot, but I'll start with this one. There's one end I haven't woven in yet, so apologies for that. But I don't think I shared this with you guys. This is my finished Isla Shawl, Isla Shawl. I think someone said it was Gaelic for Isle. So maybe Isla Shawl. I really don't know, I'm so sorry. I think the pattern is by Buches. The yarn it was originally designed in was by Biches, and it was a knit along hosted by Knitting Nelly, Morgan, and Biches, and this was the one that I made. It was made all from stash yarn, some Life in the Long Grass fine sock, and then some merino singles by Villaine, which is a French dyer, and I bought the minis from Loop London. So it's really pretty. It's very nice summery colours. I guess you can either wear it like that, which isn't really my style, or, like this. I did some extra repeats because I felt that it was going to end up too small otherwise. I don't think the pattern really worked that well with merino singles. The pattern, because it uses slip stitches, is much more defined in other people's, and mine kind of just looks more like stripes, like slightly messy stripes. I love it. I still think it's really pretty, but I'm not sure that I rate merino singles as having the right stitch definition for a project like this, so worth bearing in mind. But I didn't know how else I would use those, so you know, it was worth using. There we go. Yeah, so I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah. My knitting whip is something that I cast on the other day. So I had cast on with this yarn before, and I started knitting a pressed flowers cowl, and I didn't like how it was looking, and so I ripped it out and I started knitting a pattern I've knit before. I might have to stop. I think he's waking up. It's too soon. I don't really know if this is going to work. He's between my legs. I don't know if he's going to allow me to record this or whether he's just going to shriek through the whole thing. We'll see. If you hear any tinkling, it's his toy. What are you looking at? You looking at the mirror? Yeah. Yeah. Oh well, this could be an experiment. I've been trying to record for days and it's just not worked out, so perhaps we try this way. Are you gonna join in? I don't know. Anyway, as I was saying, I've knit this pattern before. It's the Velvet Mirror Cowl by Andrea Mowry. The one I knit before is this one. And I wear it tons in the winter. This one is knit with Suri alpaca from Sakami, a lace weight held double that I naturally dyed. I don't know what it was, might have been alpaca. And then a Corriedale, a begins with a C, it's quite common in America, it's not common here. Andrea Mowry really likes it. It's not Corriedale. Oh, do not remember, sorry. It's a yarn by La Mercerie. Ampersand, is that right? It's ampersand fibres. It's called the Carson yarn or something. Carson fingering. It's the grey one. It's bugging me, I don't remember the breed of the sheep, to be honest. You find this funny, don't you? Anyway, it's a super squishy cowl. You do a provisional cast on, which is what this is, and you knit a tube, and then you twist it, and then you Kitchener stitch it closed, so you get this continuous loop. So it's really easy to style because you just plonk it on. And to be honest, when I've been out and about and I've had freezing cold ears, I've even worn it over my ears. When I've been desperate, it does look a bit over the top, but it's worked. And you know, if you have sensitive ears, you understand that actually I'd rather look ridiculous than have painful ears. So I bought this yarn in Rhinebeck. It is an alpaca blend yarn, and the colours are just all the earthy colours I absolutely love. And so I kind of knew that I wanted to do the pressed flowers because I thought that it would be a really nice background to a lovely pale pink contrast. But it just didn't look right. The texture just wasn't suiting it. This is he's trying to grab it. This is a lace weight, really lovely yarn from Woollenflower. It's naturally dyed. It's called Twig, and I believe it's a linen silk blend. There might be some wool in there. There's definitely linen and silk. And this is the mohair by Knitting for Olive. So I'm holding, because this is 600 meters for 100 grams, I'm holding that double with a strand of that and then a strand of this. I think this is more sport. I think it is DK weight actually. I think the pattern might be a sport weight pattern. So I think my other one was probably more sport weight, which would actually explain why this one is slightly bigger. But I'm over halfway through. So I'm trying to show this without it being grabbed at. So you knit 2 repeats of the first colour work chart and then you reverse the colours. I don't know if you can see from here onwards it's predominantly pink, and from here down it's predominantly brown. So I'm over halfway through. I'm halfway through the 3rd repeat. So there's 1 repeat, 2 repeats, 3 repeats. So I've got 1.5 repeats to go. I'm a bit bored of it now, to be honest, but it is really fun, and I really love the finish of it. I do remember that I really did not enjoy Kitchener stitching it closed, so I'm not really looking forward to that part, but I know that it'll be a really lovely, cosy, wearable souvenir, and it will go with all of my brown things, because I wear a lot of brown. It does go with my bob pants I'm wearing at the moment, actually, which you can't see. They're kind of purple. Yeah. Are you panting? Why are you panting? Are you excited because you had a micro nap? Hmm? Knew it was too good to be true when you fell asleep early today. Sorry. But yeah, so that's my 2nd velvet mirror cowl. Completely not seasonally appropriate, but it'll be ready for the autumn when the time comes. Yeah, so the only other knitting project I've done lately was the tiniest pair, well not the tiniest because I have knit smaller, but I knit baby boy a 2nd pair of socks. I knit him a pair of socks quite early on and they were too small by the time I finished them. Sorry, I was hoping to have a video that wouldn't require much editing, because also editing the videos is quite problematic at the moment because I have to do it in the evening, which is my only downtime. So this is going to be fun stitching together. So apologies about the fragmented nature. I'm trying to embrace the chaos. So I did knit a pair of socks, and by the time I finished them, they were too small, so he never wore them. And I've put them aside in case of gifting to future babies. And then I knit this pair with my leftover Biches sock yarn and some Exmoor sock yarn by John Arbon, and he wears them nearly every day because I just find they stay on better than shop socks. And he doesn't wear shoes, so they just provide a bit of extra warmth. Please don't go for the tripod, babe. You have this look. But I felt for him only having 1 pair of socks, so and also, you know, he is starting to outgrow foot length, and so I knit him a 2nd pair. I've also done them in ribbing because ribbing like stretch it, like has more give and like fits the foot better. I haven't ribbed the sole of the foot. Right, I've got my headphones on, which I've never done before, so that feels really weird because I feel like I'm shouting. But I'm wondering if that will improve sound quality because you won't be able to hear baby as much. What was I saying? So yeah, the ribbing conforms to the foot a bit better, so they stay on better, but it also means they're slightly more flexible in shape. But it does mean the more you stretch them out widthways, the shorter they get, which is why the first pair never fit in because the length of the foot was too short. And so they are too long. I've done that on purpose because they'll fit longer. Because he's not walking yet, so it doesn't matter. He just sits and drags himself around and kind of crawls, but not really. I will say, if you are a baby mama and you struggle with socks being pulled off, there is such a thing called sock-ons, which I have in my pocket because they were on the socks. They're these ugly little things. Sock-on. They're miraculous. They stop the socks from coming off. I will say he's strong enough to put off a ball sock with that on. But these, with those, no chance. Which is how we've managed to survive with 1 pair of socks because you can't lose them. I have to take them off, which is great, exactly what we want. So yeah, and also the lovely thing is because they're both knit from leftovers. I don't know if you can see behind me. I don't know if that one's in view or not. These are left over from that, and these are left over from this pair that I knit myself whilst I was pregnant, I think, and it's the Croy sock yarn. I'm not sure what colourway because I don't have the label anymore. But yeah, just those little socks. I find baby socks actually take me forever to knit because I don't really enjoy knitting them It was more of a practicality knit. But yeah, so that's kind of been all my knitting at the moment. I have cast on the body of a colourwork jumper by Jennifer Steinglass, but at the moment it's just Let Lopey ribbing and a few inches of body. My mum's actually helping me knit it. She's going to knit the body because it's a bottom up, and then I'm going to do the rest. So I might cast on the sleeves soon. But it's a present for my godmother. She wanted the same jumper that I knit for my mum a couple of years ago. So that's quite easy because I already have the pattern. So I just had to reorder the yarn and cast it on. So I love knitting with Let Lopey. I have so many not so many. I have a couple of sweater quantities of yarn, none of which are Let Lopey. So I have no excuse to buy a sweater quantity of Let Lopey for myself. So I feel like I'm living vicariously through this. So I'm really enjoying that. And this is the colour 86, which is my favourite. I've knit 2 jumpers for myself in it. Well, one was Pluto Lopey, but it was basically the same colour. A jumper for my mum, and now I'm knitting a jumper for my godmother in the same yarn. But yeah, so that's kind of my knitting at the moment. I have also picked up a few languishing whips, but I've not made enough progress to really warrant sharing. But I will share with you my mammoth sewing project, which is finally finished, and I'm so excited. And hopefully I can stick in some pictures of me wearing it. And that is the jacket I've been going on about making forever, potentially years. And once I actually made it, it only really took a weekend. And that's a weekend with baby. I mean, no, it was a bit longer than a weekend, but it didn't take very long. And so it is the Wiksten unfolding jacket, which unfortunately I don't think you can buy the pattern anymore because I think the company folded. And it's the unfolding jacket. I think I made a similar joke last time, which isn't a joke, but you understand what I mean. It was previously called the Wiksten Howry, but they changed the name because of cultural appropriation. And it's got a oversized kind of jacket fit. And it can be reversible, which mine is. So on the outside I used a cotton jacquard, which I actually bought secondhand from Merchant Mills. Well, I bought it on eBay, and I over dyed it because it had some sun damage. Baby, don't hit your head. And then the inside is... Hey, come on, you're hitting your head on my stall. You're a bit close. Let's scoot you a bit. What's this? What's this? Come on, let Mama just have 10 more minutes. Yeah? Or do we need a break? And then this is a William Morris print cotton, which someone did say they managed to find on eBay actually. I'm not sure who printed it, but it's really lovely. It's got like sage green and mustard and blues. And I've sandwiched some wool batting, superwash wool batting by Hobbs, which is like a quilt making batting company, in between. So it is quite thick. When I made it initially, I shared on Instagram, the collar is much bigger and it folds back, and the body of the two fabrics and the wool wadding was too much, and it just laid really awkwardly, and like the lining fabric was peeking out under the neck, and it all just looked really messy. So a follower said that she used one of the pattern pieces and folded over and attached it much like you would a button placket. So I have done that with the main fabric. So that means that when you wear it this way out, you have this, and you can roll up the sleeves for a bit of contrast. And then when you wear it the other way, and fold back the sleeves, you know, you have a contrast neck and cuff, which I think works really well with the fabric. Stops it being too overwhelmingly floral. Where did I get to? So yeah, I sewed the collar on more like a button placket. And so the extra details that I did I don't think I made the short version, and I didn't make the size it recommended. I went down a size because it's very oversized. I do wish, however, I had made the sleeves wider, because it is a jacket and wearing over a jumper is a bit of a tight fit. So I think it would have been quite easy to hack it to make wide sleeves because it's a drop shoulder, and I kind of wish I had, but you know, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it now. On the back I quilted a moon phase using just some undyed calico, and then I just with some shishiko thread embroidered, well, stitched the line for the last one, and then I stitched the same design on one of the pockets that I did on my waistcoat I made a few months ago, and added this little label that says stitched. So yeah, I absolutely love it. It's too warm and thick to wear right now. I do think that perhaps using the ball batting made it too warm. The other thing I should mention, because the cotton jacquard appears to have a quilted texture, or the fabric is pre-quilted, it meant that I could quilt the printed cotton to the wall batting just using like a neutral coloured thread, and I've just done it in lines, and it means the stitching doesn't go all the way through, and it meant that I could do it in a way that there was no exposed seams, because if you used a pre-quilted fabric you'd have to bias bind all of your seams. It could still be reversible, but then it would have like bias bound seams on one side, which is a look. Isn't what I wanted. I quite liked that it's both sides are quilted but differently, if that makes sense, and that the thread didn't go all the way through, because otherwise I'd have to make a choice about using dark thread on this lighter fabric or light thread on this darker fabric, and that bothered me. So yeah, very happy with this very squishy jacket. I might even wear it later because it is quite overcast, although I keep going out wearing it and then taking off and putting it on the pram, so that might not be the answer. Anyway, so I've got the guest bed pulled out in here. My last kind of sewing escapades are for the baby, so if that doesn't interest you, then maybe it's good for you. I'm sorry. Oh no. I was going to share a sewing plan. I'm sorry this episode is all over the place. Maybe I should re-record it and do another one. We'll see if I get a chance. I'm just not getting very much daytime time alone whilst he's either asleep or with someone else at the moment, because every time I get help I'm working. So I am feeling quite scattered. So this fabric I had by Merchant Mills. I had bought to line that jacket. I then decided it was too expensive and lovely just to be part of that jacket, and I actually really liked the floral on it. And so Lorna from Thread and Yarn has got the same fabric, and she's going to make some Nini culottes from it. And when she said that, I was like, oh, I wish I'd had that idea first, because it would make a beautiful dress, and I have enough to make a dress for me with, but I have lots of dresses. I have lots of skirts. I don't wear all of the dresses and skirts I have at the moment, just because some of them don't currently suit my lifestyle. So I want to make something different from it that would fit a hole in my wardrobe or a gap. Do you want another toy? We can get you another toy. You haven't seen this one in a while. Yeah. Yeah, you like that one. Do you remember it? Sorry, my chair might squeak a bit as well. And so when she said Nini culottes, I was like, that's actually really perfect, because they kind of feel like a skirt, but they're trousers. Because I am wearing my linen trousers a lot at the moment, because I spend a lot of time on the floor, bending down, climbing over things. So trousers are actually a really good idea. But I don't feel that I can make Nini culottes because I'd just be copying her. So I thought about maybe bob pants, because I do wear my check bob pants a lot. I wear my purple linen bob pants I'm wearing right now quite a lot. Not as much because they are a size bigger, because I made them when I was pregnant. which I don't think was actually necessary. If anyone's in the same situation, what I would actually recommend doing is making the size probably that you would normally wear, but then just putting the elastic in looser, and then after you've had the baby, well, a little while after you've had the baby and you feel, you know, more comfortable again in your size, you can just shorten the elastic. So, which is what I've done. So I am wearing them, but they are very baggy. There's a lot of fabric in the legs, and I just prefer the look of the slightly smaller bob pants. So I'm thinking I might make bob pants for this. I don't know, what do we think? The stripes would be going down. Maybe it'd look very nice with my jacket. What do you think? I might even have enough to make a top or matching trousers for the baby. And talking about matching trousers, I decided I wanted to make some bob pants-esque trousers for the babe. I have quite a lot of leftover bits of fabric that are kind of too small to make anything like decent with. However, I will say I have now discovered that actually small trousers take up a lot more fabric than we think. And so I asked for recommendations of sewing patterns for children, and 2 companies were suggested that I actually have really enjoyed looking at. One is called Flora Child and one is called Red Creek, and they both make really gorgeous patterns. There are more patterns for girls than there are for boys, but I think that's okay, because actually it all does us a favour if we buy less patterns and just make the same pattern over and over again. And I ended up, both had a really nice trouser pattern, but I ended up buying the Sage trouser by Flora Child because it has the same kind of balloon leg. And I think it goes up to age 7. Sorry, they're both quite crinkled. This one might be easier to see. So far I have made the 6 to 9 months, which I think is the smallest size, and the 9 to 12. And these are both using scraps. This is because this is from, I have a Not Perfect Linen jumpsuit that I bought years ago, and it wore out on the crotch, and I asked them if I could buy some scrap pieces of fabric from them so that I could mend it, and they said yes if you cover the postage, and that was quite steep. But when it arrived, they sent me like really big offcuts, so more than enough to make multiple pairs of like trousers for him, which I'll come back to in a minute. So I made this as a test pair. I accidentally sewed the label in the front, and it says, "My mama made this." So they're actually back to front because I got a bit confused. This one, because I realised I was going to make lots of sizes, I stamped a little label that says 12 months and put it in the back. The pattern does have pockets, but I've decided not to bother with pockets until I get up to like age 2. I don't know if that's a mistake or not. But I say that because I actually batch cut out 8 pairs in different sizes in my leftovers, and they're all in a basket behind me waiting to sew, because some are in lime green linen and then lime green cord. There's a couple of pairs in different sizes in this fabric, etc. And I thought it'd be easier to sew all the lime green things at once. Like I could do all of the, you know, lime green side seams, and then all of the, you know, I could just do it a bit like a factory, which, you know, is not something that I generally propose for slow making and slow sewing, but for baby trousers where having multiple different sizes is actually quite useful. I thought, well, when I have the time, that's a good idea, and then I can put them away and use them in the future. So I will be making more size labels, or being as this one isn't really holding its colour that well, even though it is textile safe ink, which I have heat set, it's not really that dark. I might buy some size labels to sew into things, so I don't get too confused, especially when I've got more than one trouser in the same fabric. Yeah, I'm nearly done. But yeah, so he's already worn both pairs loads. The sizing is quite generous, so he is actually wearing the smaller size and the bigger size at the moment. The bigger size does look quite big on him, and I am rolling it up a bit. But yeah, I like that, because I have a shirt in this fabric that we can low-key match. So yeah, really rate the pattern. I am umming and ahhing about buying the... There's a jumpsuit by Red Creek Designs, and I'm thinking about buying it to make him some summer jumpsuits, but I'm not sure, because he actually does have quite a lot of clothes, and I don't want to make things for the sake of it or buy more fabric to make clothes that he doesn't need. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, no, I want you to face me if that's okay, baby. Yeah. You're a bit of a wriggle bum today. I want to share with them one last thing. Is that okay? Yeah? One last thing. And then we'll go play. Yeah? You being a good boy. Hmm? Yeah. Can you go back on the floor? Just for a couple of minutes. You're going to show off your lovely hand knit jumper that Mama made, which is a bit big around the neck. It keeps coming off. Oh, I know. I know. Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if I recorded this whole video and they can't hear any of it because of my headphones? Hmm? Yeah. Okay, come on. Oh. So the last thing is a pattern by Red Quick Designs, and it's a free pattern which I've hacked, and it's their quilted bonnet pattern. So we are having a problem with Sun Hats who just keeps ripping them off, no matter what style. Off, whether it ties on, has a button or whatever, off. And so I had the idea that a bonnet might work better, because he did wear knitted bonnets in the winter. Also my partner hates a boy in a bonnet. Hates a boy in a bonnet. So do both his grandmas. So they're not very happy with this. And I do feel it looks a little bit Handmaid's Tale this way round. But yeah, so it's a quilted bonnet pattern. It's free because it's basically just 2 pieces. And if you've got some pre-quilted fabric, it's really, really easy to sew. But I hacked it because, oh, you've dropped your spoon. I hacked it because I wanted it to be as thin as possible. I didn't want it to be thick. I wanted it to be really light. I wanted to use my linen scraps, and I wanted it to have like a peak. So I measured the edge of the front, and then I made a shape to go around, used interfacing, and then sort of made it like you would the lining of a bag. So I left a little hole, turned the whole thing out, and then stitched up the hole by hand. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and so we have a reversible bonnet. So that side is Mel's green check linen, and the other side is oatmeal. So it does go with a lot of his clothes. And it fits, it's got quite a generous size. And it fits, he hasn't got it on properly at the moment. And it does fit him quite well. It's very cute actually. Yeah, what do you think? Are we going to go play in the other room? Well, I have no idea what the episode was like. I'm sorry. Hopefully you have seen a snapshot into the slight madness of 10-month-old life. He's very happy. He's thriving wonderfully. We love him to bits. But Mama would like a little bit more time to herself. Maybe you could nap more than 15 minutes next time. What do you think? Well, thank you for persevering if you have. My Ko-fi account is linked below. And my Ravelry wish list, although maybe it's empty at the moment. I don't know. I have some major making projects lined up because we're going to redecorate his room for his first birthday, because we never decorated it before he was born because we had other priorities, and my partner catastrophically shattered his ankle towards the end of my pregnancy. So there was no decorating happening then. But yes, we're finally doing it, me and my mother-in-law, because my partner's renovating our future house, which we won't be moving into for like 3 years, which is why we think it's still worthwhile to decorate baby's room. So I'm really excited because it's going to have a woodland theme. So I will probably share some of the making projects for that because the fabrics are beautiful. I bought them this morning and I can't wait for them to arrive. So that will be my main creative focus coming up, I think. That and keeping little one happy and going back to work. So thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to keep my face in shot. I don't know when I'll get to speak to you guys next because things are very busy and little one is an armful. Hope everyone is well and you enjoyed some creative time with me. Thank you very much and goodbye.